hydrogen ships sound like the future, but there's a serious problem. To power a ship, hydrogen needs massive tanks, stored at minus 253 degrees. That means less cargo, more risk. And that's why it's not ready yet. But the real reason is even more shocking. Let's dive deep into this topic.
You've probably heard the buzz about hydrogen-powered ships. The idea is amazing, right? These massive cargo carriers, the backbone of global trade, gliding across the oceans with their only emission being pure, clean water. It really sounds like the perfect green dream. But today, we're going to see what happens when that dream slams right into the unchangeable laws of physics.
Right, so let's get straight to the heart of it. This quote really frames the whole conversation perfectly. The shipping industry is going big on hydrogen as the future, but do the numbers actually work when you're talking about crossing an entire ocean? That's the question we're digging into. It's time to strip away the hype and look at the cold, hard facts.
Because to get a real answer, we've got to get past all the shiny press releases. We need to zero in on one absolutely crucial scientific principle that basically controls this entire debate.
And here it is, volumetric energy density. Now, I know that sounds super technical, maybe a little intimidating, but the idea is actually incredibly simple. It's just about how much energy, how much oomph you can cram into a certain amount of space.
Think of it like this. You're packing for a really long trip. A fuel with high energy density is like rolling up all your clothes super tight. You can fit way more into a small suitcase. But a fuel with low energy density, that's like just tossing everything in unfolded. You're going to need a much, much bigger suitcase to carry the exact same amount of stuff.
So why does this whole suitcase problem matter so much when a ship is crossing the Pacific? Well, because it leads us directly to something called the fuel space problem. And for deep-sea shipping, it is a massive deal.
And this chart just lays it all out, crystal clear. Look at the bars for other potential green fuels, like ammonia and methanol. They pack a decent punch. And then, look way down at the bottom. See that little guy? That's liquid hydrogen. It just doesn't have the same energy packed into the same amount of space. Not even close.
Okay, so what does that actually look like on a ship? Well, here you go. On the left, you've got your standard ship, small fuel tank, and tons of room for the cargo that actually makes money. Now look at the hydrogen ship on the right. Just look at the size of that fuel tank. It's enormous, and it's eating right into the most valuable real estate on the whole vessel, the cargo hold.
So how much space are we talking about losing? The numbers are pretty staggering. We're talking about up to 1/3. A third of the entire ship's cargo capacity could vanish just to make room for the hydrogen fuel needed for a long trip. In an industry where every single container slot is money, that is a brutal, brutal economic hit.
And if you're thinking, wow, that giant fuel tank is a huge problem, well, you're right. But hold on, because it's not the only one. That space problem is definitely the biggest hurdle, but there are a few other major technical challenges we need to talk about.
First up, there's the issue of fuel cell degradation. The high-tech systems that convert the hydrogen into power, these are called proton exchange membrane fuel cells, they're pretty sensitive, and they wear out. The kind of constant heavy-duty use they'd see on a long sea voyage causes really rapid wear and tear. And that raises some serious questions about reliability and repair costs when you're thousands of miles from shore. And then you have the challenge of just storing the stuff. Liquid hydrogen has to be kept insanely cold. We're talking cryogenic temperatures. That means you need these incredibly heavy, super complex, and really, really expensive specialized tanks to do the job. So you're not just losing space, you're adding a ton of weight, a whole lot of engineering complexity, and a giant pile of cost to the ship's design. Okay, so let's pull all this together. We've got the fundamental space problem, we've got the fuel cells wearing out, and we've got the crazy complex storage. What does this all mean for that green dream of hydrogen ships we started with? What's the final verdict here?
Let's just recap the big takeaways. First, yes, hydrogen is a true zero-emission fuel at the point of use, which is awesome. But, and this is a really big but, its super low volumetric energy density is a fundamental physical flaw for long-haul shipping. This creates a painful trade-off where you have to sacrifice huge amounts of paying cargo just for fuel. And then you pile on top of that the other major technical headaches, like keeping the fuel cells running and dealing with that complex cryogenic storage.
So, all of this leads us to a final, really important question. When you look at all the evidence,
Is the future of green shipping really about finding one single magic fuel to solve all our problems? Or is it more about finding the right tool for the right job? Maybe that means hydrogen is perfect for shorter coastal routes, while other fuels like ammonia or methanol are just a better fit for those epic deep-sea voyages. It seems the answer isn't some silver bullet, but building a much smarter, more diverse toolbox.
If you found this useful, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more real-world marine engineering knowledge. Watch the next video on your screen. It could be the one question that comes in your oral exam. Stay sharp, stay safe, and I'll see you in the next one.